Gentlemen, what's going on? Welcome to the Dad Edge podcast. I'm Larry Hagner, your host and founder of this show. Hope you guys are having an amazing week. And man, I'm excited for today's show. For those of you guys who really love the Star Wars movies out there, there are so many really cool themes in that movie. Do or do not. There is no try. There are forces at work that are good and evil, the good side of the force, the not so good side of the force, the dark side of the force. It's also a big time movie for father and son. Absolutely, positively, right? And if we're not careful about who we do life with, and if we're not careful about who we hang out with, man, we could become like one of the Sith. It could be a scary thing. I know I'm not making any sense right now, but trust me, we will get there and this will make total sense. What we're going to do today, gentlemen, is we are going to talk to all you men out there that are trying to create businesses. Maybe you own a business and that's your full-time thing, but you are out there, you are creating something special. You are trying to do the work that makes you come alive. And that's not for the faint of heart. You're also trying to create a legendary marriage. You're also trying to create an environment of psychological safety where your kids will come and talk to you about anything. You're trying to create trust and memories. And we're just trying to do everything, not to mention take care of ourselves. We got to be the best, the best health, the best wealth for ourselves. And sometimes the dark side of the force, man, I'll tell you what, it can be sneaky. So that's why I'm excited today to talk to one of our Accelerator Mastermind members, good friend of mine as well. He's just going to be sharing some insights on everything that we're talking about today, which is how do we optimize our marriage? How do we create businesses and do the work that makes us come alive? And how do we create these amazing memories with our kids without turning anyone into a Sith? So that's why I'm excited today to introduce Eric Franco. He told me one of his favorite movies of all times was Star Wars. So Eric, what's going on, man? Good to have you on.
It's great to be on. Thanks, Larry. What an intro.
Would you rather if I do it in Yoda's voice? Would that be better?
Yeah, you should do that.
I should do that. I would scare everybody, man. I can't do Yoda's voice, but that's all right, man. Well, dude, hey, thank you so much for coming on the show. I want to start out with some fun questions before we get started. Okay. Before the guys know what the family looks like, what your business looks like. But let's start out with something fun. And the fun question is this: what is something that you enjoy doing? It can be you alone or it can be with your family, just something that brings you joy outside of work.
Let's see. Probably the biggest thing right now is probably just taking a walk at the end of a day. So hectic days, really starting out in 2020 when COVID kind of changed the world and changed industry and changed business and family life. Uh, just taking that walk at the end of the day kind of helped me regroup and transition to becoming back to a father from the work life.
Do you do that? Do you try to do that every day or at least a few times a week?
Yeah, I do it every day. I miss a day or two, or here or there, but I try to go for that walk every day. It's beneficial for my kids more than me sometimes.
Oh yeah, I would agree. I would totally agree with that one. In fact, that's advice that I've been giving for a long time, and it's also advice I need to take because we all need like that, just that separation especially in a pandemic where a lot of us are working from home, and we just need that transition from okay, like I'm out of work mode now, and now I'm into family mode because that's a tough transition. What was life like for you before you started doing stuff like that?
Hectic. So your life is full of energy. Um, how you spread it around is kind of your choice. So pre 2020, a lot of my time was spent towards the business. And I would come back and I'd probably have a small reservoir left of energy to kind of, be the father, be the husband, do those types of things. I did good. I'm not going to say I did horrible, but I could have definitely done better. 2020 brought me the opportunity to kind of do some soul searching, look within, and kind of think, how am I going to be a better holistic individual, father, husband, employee, brother, sister, all those pieces.
And what do you do when you're on this walk? Is it kind of more sacred silence? Do you listen to something inspirational? But what's your transition?
Different things depending on the day. So I have a podcast I'll listen to, yours being one. Audible. I like to listen to a lot of Audible books on leadership, psychology, those types of things. And sometimes it's just meditating. It's just visualizing something that's either going to happen, is happening, how I want to deal with something. It just depends on the day.
Okay, so let's talk about that one thing. But before we do that, so this show is airing, right? As we're talking about it today. You might be on your walk. It's June 18th, and you might be on your walk today listening to yourself. How cool is that?
I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be like, this guy is smart.
Yeah, this guy is brilliant. So, okay, talk to us about when you talk about meditation and visualization, and what kind of visions and images come to mind when you're in that mode of transitioning from work life into family?
Again, depends on the day. It might be, I know I got to pick up some additional things at the house, right? My wife's tied up in the afternoon. And so it's visualizing how I want to bring the rest of the kids together with when my wife's out. It might be, how am I going to take them down the next path or the next journey, the next challenge that I've given them, right? One of the things I gave them in 2020 was they started illustrating a book and kind of contributing to a book. So I try to be a little out of the box to try to kind of push them in new areas. And so it might be something down that realm.
How old are your kids?
So 19 is my oldest, Jonathan. And then Carlos is 17, Elizabeth is 14, and Victor's 11.
4 kids?
Yeah. I know you know how that is.
You're crazy. Do you, let me ask you this, just kind of segue. Do people, after you say you have 4 kids, are they like, wow? Do they give you the wow?
They do.
Yeah.
And then I do a little like frosting on top. And I say, well, before we had our 4 kids, we actually raised my wife's younger brother and sister. So we had teenagers before we had kids.
So yeah,
I don't recommend it that way. Yeah.
You had a crash course of what was gonna happen right before it even happened. So
We did.
And who's writing the book right now?
So I wrote the children's book. My 2 oldest boys have career aspirations to get into graphic design, either illustration, animation, videography. And so I asked them to do it. It was a good kind of experience for them to kind of see, how do you tie in schedules and different perspectives and different wants and different needs and conflicts and those types of things. So they enjoyed some days. They probably didn't enjoy other days. But it's a good life lesson, and ultimately they're going to be able to put on their resume that they illustrated a published book.
That's pretty sweet. Now, when is the book coming out, or when is it out?
It'll be out no later than mid-June, so right around this time.
Well, this is perfect timing. What's the title?
Introvert Ninja.
Introvert Ninja.
Yeah.
And this is a kid's book.
This is a kid's book.
All right, give us the premise. What's going on with this book? That sounds fascinating.
So the background is, I'm a huge introvert, huge introvert. The thing I liked about 2020 was I got to be in solace. I got locked up, so it's good. But being an introvert, I learned about 10 years ago that I got to be able to flex styles. I got to be able to step into that extroverted style from time to time, either to give presentations, to jump on a podcast, to do those types of things. And so there wasn't really anything out there as far as how to do that. There was a lot of suggestions. And so I started trying a lot of different things. So over the course of a couple of years, I became very successful doing it, to where I started having people reach out to me and ask me to help them. That turned into me helping others. And then I looked back and I said, there's a model here. There's a 4-step kind of model that I've been using with everybody. It's been very successful. And I started down a path of writing a adult version on trying to help people in that process. Well, in 2020, early 2020, once COVID hit, it was on one of my walks. I was listening to a podcast. It was one of Andy Frisella's, and he was talking about his kids' books and why he wrote his kids' books. And he said, you want to help them at the earliest stage. And it made me stop literally when I was walking, and it just made me remember growing up as an introvert and how difficult it was because I had so much trouble talking to people, making friends, doing those things. It was very awkward. And so I remembered that feeling in that kind of instant. And it hit me. Like I stood there for a while. I'm not going to, I probably got a little teary eyed. Might have been the allergies, don't know for sure. But it made me remember that. And it made me kind of feel like I don't want other kids to do that. And I know there's other kids that are going through that. And then it made me think of some, parents that I know where their kid is an introvert, but they're not. And they don't know that and they don't know how to help them with that. And so I said, well, I'm going to convert it to a kids version. So all the models got converted to kids type activities. And then I had the idea to have the kids illustrate it with me.
And what's the 4-step process? You got me all curious now.
So it's hear as in you can hear something. So H is honor, and it's all about honoring who you are, being appreciative of your own strengths. E is about energy. Where do you spend it? How do you refuel it? Those types of things. A is all about action. So what are the things you need to go do? And then R is your retrospective, looking back, what worked, what didn't work.
Man, that's fascinating. How long have you been helping people through this process?
About 10 years now total.
That's pretty cool. So kind of break it down for us just a little bit further, because I'm sure we have a lot of introverts that listen to this show, kids who are introverted, right? So we're raising kids who are introverted. Believe it or not, I'm actually an introvert. I know it doesn't seem like it. When I'm on this microphone, I'm not. When I'm off this microphone, I have to go recharge and refill my tank a little bit. But break it down for us a little bit more.
Okay. Well, as far as the steps, like what I would do.
Yeah. What would you do?
Okay. Well, let's take it through some of the examples I used in the kids book, right? So honor, strengths. When kids go to school, they see others connecting. And when they don't have the ability to do that, they feel like they're less than. They feel like there's something wrong with them, that they are not friend material, that nobody wants to play with them, those types of things. And it's not that. It's they have their own strengths, but they just have to know how to tap into them. And so the activity in the book that I take them through is the dad tells the child, I want to have you pick up a toy and put it in the corner, but say one thing you're proud of or that you do really well. It could be anything. And the kid says, I'm really fast. I love to color. I make great toast. And he just starts piling up all these strengths. And then he does the same thing with, okay, let's take a couple things that you want to improve on. And kid goes, I want to talk to kids. I want to feel more comfortable about, approaching them. And he puts it in another corner. And the dad says, look at the difference, right? You see this big mound of toys in one area and this little challenge that you have in the other, where you just need to use those strengths to address those. And so the rest of the book then talks through, okay, how do you energize? And it's explaining it to the kids. What do you mean energy? Well, it's kind of like in video games when you need to power up, right? When you use a special move, your power drains, and so you got to power up. So you're looking for a new battery symbol. So what are the things that make you feel good? Well, I like to color. I like to play video games. Okay, so then the kids starting to go through it, and then they start to put a plan in place. Okay, what are you going to go do? Well, I'm going to wear my T-shirt that has a soccer ball on it, because I'm going to go ask kids to play soccer with me. And then I'm going to stop a few minutes early, go inside the classroom early and color so I can kind of recharge. So they kind of put a plan in place on how they do it. And at the end, they kind of just review it and say, okay, how did it go? What could have gone better? And what are we going to do next? And it's just an iterative cycle of them trying to improve, because of course you can't get better in one instance, right?
I love that, man. That's a system, because I think if you're an introverted kid or even an introverted adult, there's a part of you that feels like maybe you don't always fit in.
There is.
Yeah.
I can't talk for all, but I can talk the way I felt, right?
Well, and talk to us about maybe some of the other feelings that come up when number one, we are introverted, but then parenting kids who are maybe introverted as well.
So as an introvert growing up, I think my main thing that came up was I got angry. And it caused me to get into a lot of fights.
You're like one of
As
the
a
most peaceful dudes I know. I can't see Eric fighting. Like you've been in our
yeah,
mastermind for a long time. I can't see you like sweeping the leg or anything like that.
no, I did a lot, a lot.
Yeah.
I was lucky that I grew up in a time where most people fought with fists and
Right.
those types of things, right? I lost a lot, won some. My brother, my older brother, my poor older brother had to drag me home quite a bit of, quite a few times to get me out of a fight. But yeah, no, I was angry as an introvert. It wasn't the best method to release it, but it's how I did it. And I just didn't know any other way. My oldest son is a very strong introvert as well. And he doesn't get angry, but he gets stressed. And so his avenue is he gets very stressed in the process. And so I'm always trying to figure out ways to kind of help him relieve the stress, right? So video games, he loves video games, he loves to color. He does some really cool things with cardboard. Like he actually makes weaponry with cardboard. He can make, axes and swords and ball and chains and all with cardboard. It looks amazing. But he just loves to do things with his hands, right? Pottery, those types of things. So it's his outlet. If I didn't know that, um, and I was an extroverted parent, my wife was an extroverted parent, which she is, we wouldn't know that he needs an outlet to relieve some of that stress, right? And who knows where it would turn into? Maybe it turns to the wrong use. Maybe it turns to anger.
Well, that makes I mean, it's awesome. I'm actually surprised. I've never researched this topic, just being real with you. But as you're talking about these things, I'm thinking even about my own kids, and I'm sure guys in the audience, they're thinking about their kids, because when kids don't know what to do with energy, it usually comes out in anger or acting out or misbehaving in some way, shape, or form, right? Those are usually the two avenues that they find to go release whatever it is that's stressing them, that's ailing them. And oh, by the way, adults are the same way. We're just big babies. We either shut down, we get angry, we go do something that maybe we shouldn't be doing, but we've got to do something with that energy. So, um, talk to us about, now that the kids know what to do with the energy, is this just a repetitive practice that you and kids, and by people reading your book, that they can constantly put in place, and then to know exactly where they're at in the process?
It's a repetitive process. So you take it one task at a time, right? So if you know anything about like situational leadership, you kind of lead through a specific task. So um, my oldest just started college, but it's all been online. Next year, he will be actually in college. And so I will be running through the model with him again on how do you go out and talk to other people at college, right? How do you, not to necessarily date or do anything like that, but just get comfortable, start talking to people, gain some additional network, learn from others. And I know it's going to be a challenge for him, right? So even though we've gone through the model, you go through the model based on a particular task, and then you have to go through it again, because everybody feels like when they're going through something else, it's completely different.
Right.
And there's, they're special, right?
What an amazing resource you're putting out in the world, my friend. Seriously, great resource that you're putting out in the world. Guys, don't worry, we're going to have a link for the book in the show notes, so you won't have to look far for it. But, hey, I know we've spoken a lot about your amazing book that's coming out, but let's also speak about marriage. We're also going to speak about business as well. But you've been married for how long?
Going to be, well, 22 years at this point.
Is that it? Gosh, only 22 years.
Only 22.
So let's go back to Eric 23 years ago, about ready to walk down the aisle, and let's actually put you in this situation.
Right.
You have an opportunity right now to go sit with yourself 23 years ago, and to have a conversation with yourself, to share the best possible advice that you could give yourself. What do you think you'd say?
Listen, be open. I think the biggest gift I've gotten from my wife is she has always seen me as who I can be, and she's helped push me there. Right. So, a fact about, so I'm a huge introvert. as a kid, growing up, dating, I had no game, like zero. My wife picked me up. And it's because she saw something in me that I didn't see in me at the time. And so she's been very patient with me. I think we've grown together. We've been through a lot of challenges together, right? But I think if I had to go back and sit with myself, I'd say be open quicker and listen and really have faith in what she's saying.
Let's talk about that listening element, because we say that a lot, right? I want to be more intentional. I want to be more purposeful. I want to be a better listener, but we don't necessarily know exactly what that looks like from a tactic standpoint. So how do you keep yourself zeroed in on the conversation or the interaction with her? And maybe even taking that a step further, like think about times where you find yourself starting to maybe drift, and then you have to reel yourself back in. But how do you make that woman feel seen and heard?
So I think that's a daily goal, right? Now she's going to listen to this, I'm positive, but I'm going to give away a secret.
All right, perfect.
So I have a journal where I constantly write things that I'm grateful for about her. And
does she know this?
Well, she will now. But that's what I use when I sit and reflect and I'm writing a card to her, or I'm writing just because I'm sending flowers, or those types of things. Like if I were to look at it right now, January 1st of 2021, what I have written down is we spent the early hours dancing to music by ourselves, right? Just in the living room. We all celebrated New Year's. The kids kind of went to sleep, and we spent about 2 hours just dancing. But it was what I was most grateful for, right? If I flip through a few more, our refrigerator that my parents gave us for our anniversary died 21 years later, right? And so it was like, this is the refrigerator where our kids had their milk for their bottles and all this stuff, right? And so I keep notes. I can remember, but it's something. And then if I ever pass before her, it's something she'll find as a nice little surprise. But now she's gonna know. So.
So I'm going to thank you twice. Okay. Thank you for one of the most amazing suggestions that have ever been on Dad Edge podcast. And thank you for making the rest of us feel like crap. Oh man. For those of you guys who are not watching us on YouTube, Eric got a big old kick out of that one. But no, that is gold. How long have you been doing that for, man?
I've probably got about 6 or 7 journals. So I don't know, 12 years, something like that.
And she doesn't know about this.
No.
Should we have my editor to like just completely black out, like just completely erase what we just talked about, or should we leave it in there?
I'm still not going to give it to her, so don't worry.
Okay.
She'll ask, but she's not going to get them. It's the same thing. So a long time ago, I was sick and I didn't know if I was going to make it. I wrote letters to her. I wrote letters to the kids. They were all arranged to get sent. Nobody knows where they're at but me. And then as kids go through events, I will pull from those and write them cards on, like, here's what I was going to say, and I'll use it in their card and those types of things. Like when my oldest son graduated high school, I actually wrote him, I think it was like a 4-page letter from my wife and I, and it included pieces of those things.
I know you just wrote a book on the Introverted Ninja, right? That's the title?
That's the title.
Okay. All right. You want to hear what your second book is going to be?
Sure.
It's going to be the Intentional Ninja. Like, dude, this is next level stuff right here, man. And by the way, this is very, very simple stuff to implement. Like you take a few minutes a day, write down things that you're grateful for your family. And I mean, think of the thought and the gift that goes into that, something like that. That is absolute. Do you have a journal that you recommend that you do this, or are they just in random notebooks?
Just notebooks.
Man. Give us an example of something that maybe you're stumped on. Maybe you're trying to sit there and be like, man, been doing this for so long and I'm trying to write down something maybe new that I'm grateful for? Or how do you dig deep and find the gratitude? And by the way, there's a reason I'm asking you this question.
It happens. I mean, there's
Yeah.
days where it's like, nothing out of the ordinary happened, right? But it's, um, you really have to think about what was your day like? Like, where did you struggle? What was going well? So there's days where I know I was having a difficult time at work, and I have a day job, I have a consulting job, but my day job, they were taking away budget, they were taking away resources, and I was still being asked to do more with less. And I would just go to the kitchen and give her a hug, and she would just hug me back, and that's what I would write. Like, you just hug back. Um, Sometimes it's just she sat down, we watched TV together. It doesn't have to be like you flew to the moon, or you wrote a song together or anything like that. It's just, my guess is, if a woman or a spouse read something that said, and it was 365 entries that kind of said, on this date, I love you because you just sat and watched TV with me, or on this date, we went and had a dinner alone together. Um, it would probably still be amazing, right? I mean, so I have a thought in my mind. I'm not a technical person, but I'd like to be able to create an app where people could just type it in. And then at the end, it takes all this and it puts it to music and a little video that can be given to the spouse. So if there's any guys out there that know how to do that, please let me know, because I think that's kind of next level stuff.
That is absolutely next level stuff. And by the way, our phones, our devices are in our hands at all times. So it's not hard. You got no excuse if you got something like that. Wow. All right, man, we have covered a lot as far as raising kids who are introverted, how to see where we're at in your 4-step process if we are introverted. Because like we were talking about, I think that there's a lot of us out there that we feel like we're outsiders if we are, to some extent, right? But I love this idea because the reason I asked you that deeper question, I didn't know where you were going to go. I You've been in our mastermind for quite a while. I don't think I've heard you talk about this yet. So
No,
it's
I haven't.
you haven't, man. You got to share that stuff. Like we would all be next level married dudes if we had a little bit of Eric wisdom and a little bit more Eric wisdom in the accelerator. So, well, seriously, a lot of us are stuck on 2 words: more and better. I want better connection. I want more communication. I want more good times. I want a uh, better interactions with my wife. I want to be more intentional. I want to be better at intention. But that's how you do it right there. That's the action. That is just one example of an action you could take that is so impactful. So good on you for that, man.
Yeah, and I would like to, change the terminology, right? So in the accelerator, you guys are always talking about it's a language, right?
Yep.
So I used to always think about more and better, but the problem with more and better is it's a definite amount, right? I want more, so that might be twice as much, or I want better, which might be, a bigger salary, or those types of things. I try to think of it now as improved, so daily improvement. Because whenever you set a goal, if you meet it, you just set a new goal,
Yeah.
right? And so that's the way I like to look at things now, and that's the accelerator.
Yeah. That is, well, that's one of it. Right. And, I'm glad you said that because men are so guilty about like, yeah, I just achieved this. Awesome. Okay. What's next? And we never really take that moment to do that retrospect of like, okay, wait a second, what did actually happen, right? I mean, I know we take you guys through that every 8 weeks. We do that 8 week retrospect, but I want to take you on another journey right now. 2 journeys actually. So as you know, we're about ready to start our next 8 week intensive, uh, but we're getting ready to finish up this retrospect. So let's back up 8 weeks. Think about the things that you've accomplished just in the last 8 weeks of being an accelerator. And what are you most grateful for that's happened that you've done?
Consistency. So I think in this last one, I've become more consistent. So my goals usually are, there's one about health, and there's one towards business. You got to take care of yourself first, right? Something I've learned recently. I wish I would have learned it sooner. Um, but you struggle with losing weight, right? So I've done a good job. I've lost about 30 pounds. Still have a lot to go. But over this last 8-week intensive, I've learned to be more consistently tracking what I'm putting into my body, consistently tracking steps, consistently tracking exercise. It's the small steps that compound to great success, right? Those types of things.
Consistency is the key, man. I mean, we can have the best of intent. I mean, look at New Year's Day, right? We all have like these big audacious goals. We're like, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go all out. And then 30 days, I can't remember what the statistics are, but I think it's by March, 70% of people have completely, they just forego whatever it is that they promised themselves, right? So that consistency goes away. In fact, I don't remember the statistics. So I'm not even going to cite them, but I think by the end of January, there's another one. I think it's 30%. I could be wrong. I have no idea, but it's probably somewhere in there that consistency completely falls off the wagon. Let's fast forward to the end of 2021. Yeah, as this podcast releases, we've got 6 months left in the year. I want you to think about this. You've got your 4 kids. You guys are sitting around the dinner table. You have your wife there. And then all of you guys hold up your glasses and you cheers to an amazing year of success, right? And just some amazing memories that you guys created together and how you connected. What are you guys celebrating and what are you talking about?
Well, first and foremost, we're all there, right? So there's no life catastrophe that happened in the process, right? Because you never know. Second, transitioning points. At that point, my youngest is going to be 12. He'll be almost a teenager. That means that we will have teenagers and above. My daughter will be getting ready to celebrate her 15th, and she'll be having her quinceañera in the Latin culture, right, in the following year. So that's like a transition to womanhood. And my 2 oldest will be over 18. And I will be hoping to have transitioned from just a parent and a dad to more of a mentor for them, because they're now closer to being on their own. And as a parent, we're always worried about, saving them from this and making sure they don't do that and that type of thing. But we have to really be concerned about preparing them for when we're not in the room. And that's probably the biggest fear we all have. And then, after that, I think my consulting business will be doing great. My wife's launching her business in aesthetics, about, right around June, July as well. And so she'll have a few months under her belt. And there's like little side projects we'll be doing just because we like to stay busy. But first and foremost, family's healthy and we're transitioning to the next level that we should be.
I love that, man. You got me really curious now. You said something there that I thought was brilliant, and that is step into more of a mentor role, but they're going to be making decisions when you're not in the room. So what are some life lessons that you hope to teach your kids that when they are in that room and you're not around, they're making decisions on their own, but they are filtering it through whatever maybe life lessons dad might have taught them?
I think the big things are the right path isn't always the easiest path. Sometimes as a leader, you need to stand when others are not ready to stand. Family first, right? Put the effort in. I don't remember my grades in high school and grade school. I mean, it'd be easy if I said they were all A's, like, my older sister or something like that, but no, they were not. More alphabet soup. But none of that mattered because I had a drive.
Yeah.
And that's what I want for them. I want them to look at a challenge, to look at an issue and say, that's where I'm going, because that's where they need me.
I love your intention, man. And I am a huge fan of the messages that you brought here today, especially if you guys didn't pick up that incredible intentional habit of just writing down one thing that you see. Maybe it's something that you hear, maybe it's even something that you experience with your wife and kids. Imagine the gift, even if you only did this for 30 days, the gift that you would give somebody in your family, handing them over a notebook and saying, "Hey, I appreciate you and I saw these things and here they are. Just want to give this to you." Like that would me, I'm a big words of affirmation guy. And if someone gave that to me, I'd crumble. I'm not even kidding. Like that is gold to anybody's heart. So good on you for that, man. And again, I want to make sure all the men can find your brand new book that's out. So again, remind us of the title one more time. I just want to hear you say the word ninja, which is cool, and where men can find it.
The Introvert Ninja. It'll be on Amazon, and I'll also have a website, introvertninja.com, that's live.
Outstanding. Any other places that the men can find you, or any other places you want them to connect with you?
So I'm big on LinkedIn. Relatively new to Facebook, but I'm there, and you'll have all the links. And however else you want to get a hold of me, throw all ways there. Whatever I can do to help others.
Love it, man. Well, gentlemen, we're going to have all the links in the show notes for you. Not only is Eric an introvert ninja, but he is an intentional ninja. In fact, I think from now on, Eric, that's going to be your nickname in Dad Edge Accelerator. That's just the way it's going to be. So, gentlemen, if you've enjoyed this show, head on over to gooddadproject.com/Friday 3. This is Fierce Friday. We're done with Thursday Throwdown. Thought we'd space out the shows just a little bit for you. So now we have shows on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Just give you a little bit of a break, a little bit of breathing room. But again, gooddadproject.com/Friday 3. Eric, thank you so much for coming on, man. This was an absolute pleasure.
It was. Thank you.
You bet.